Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brady Joker here. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing what I watched in January ranked. A bit of a spoiler for this month. This is probably the second biggest month I've ever had in terms of watching movies. You know, I'm not exactly sure why, but for some reason in this month I just felt the need to watch movies, like a lot. I don't know. So, this is going to be a long one, so let's not waste any more time on this intro. Let's just get to it with the new watches of January. Alright, number 35, Madame Web. Yep, 35 movies. 35. I haven't had this many movies in, since last February, I think. So yeah, it's going to be a while. Anyways, Madame Web. It's Madame Web. It's dog crap. It's dog water. 34, Maelstrom. This is my least favorite Denis Villeneuve movie, so just watch my Denis Villeneuve ranking video because there's a couple more on this list. I'm not going to get into them that much. I just thought this was weird and boring. 33, Emilia Perez. I really want to put this at the bottom. I wish I could put this at number 35, but it's not worse than Madame Web, in my opinion. I mean, it's horrible, and the Oscars should be ashamed of themselves for nominating this 13 times. It's ridiculous. But anyways, Emilia Perez is god-awful. Everyone knows it by now. It's the lowest rated Oscar-nominated Best Picture. It is the lowest rated on Letterboxd. So that's just, that goes to show you. It is god-awful. It's terrible. 32, Twisters. This was the blockbuster smash hit that came out last year. And, you know, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Bunch of action, Glen Powell acting as Glen Powell. Very predictable in every single way. The tones really didn't work for me either because it tried to, be funny. And then it also just tried to be a serious drama, and I don't think the script was that great, in my opinion, to mix those two tones together nicely. So yeah, and the main actor suffers a lot from this because she was directed a lot more into the drama, make this a drama, while everyone else around her was pretty much just comedic, in my opinion. So the tones really just didn't work for me. Sorry. 31, August 32nd on Earth. This was Denis Villeneuve's first movie, and you know, it's beautiful, but drags a little in the second half. 30, Dune, 1984. Yup, David Lynch. R.I.P. I watched every David Lynch movie after he died. Every single one. All of his movies, and so I'm not going to be talking about the movies that much because I need to make the ranking video, but you're basically going to get the ranking here, which kind of sucks. But no, you're not. You're not going to get 5, because I'm going to include Twin Peaks on its own segment here. So you're getting like 4 of the rankings, 4 or 5. So who cares? I'm not talking about any of his movies though. We're just going to skip them. 29, Polytechnique. This, Denis Villeneuve, very hard to watch. Beautiful cinematography though. But yeah, it's a rough watch. 28, Sanjuro. Now I think we're getting into these are pretty good. These are decent movies. This is the follow-up to Yojimbo. This is an Akira Kurosawa film. And I've been trying to get into more of his movies, and I watched quite a bit of them this month. And Sanjuro it wasn't that good in my opinion. It was a little boring at times. It honestly is just it's just Yojimbo, but less cool in my opinion. I think the Ronin here, the Sanjuro if you will, I think he's super toned down in this movie. I mean, he's so clever in Yojimbo, and we'll get to Yojimbo much later on this list. But I just didn't think this was a necessary follow-up to that movie. I mean, I still had a good time with it, and there were still really, really great scenes. I do think the ending was a bit anticlimactic, with him and the mean guy, the main bad guy. But you know, it was fine. It was good. It was whatever. 27, A Complete Unknown. We're good movies now. We're at good movies. I watched a lot of good movies this month. Yeah, I saw this in theaters towards the very beginning of the month, and I think Chalamet is fantastic, and I think he encapsulates Bob Dylan so well. I think all the performances here are like with any biopic at this point. I think the performances is what really carries this movie through, its runtime. But in all honesty, these biopics all kind of just feel like the same movie. They're all just like, by the books, Wikipedia page. Like, this is what happens, then this, then this, then this. So it's like, I get it. And also, they really took the whole complete unknown thing to another level where I really didn't learn anything about Bob Dylan. And my knowledge of Bob Dylan before this movie was like very surface level stuff. But I mean, it was a good time. I enjoyed it. Number 26, Bringing Out the Dead. I was going on a Scorsese binge. I was going to this month, but then David Lynch passed, and I was like, I'm gonna watch David Lynch instead because I've only seen 3 of his movies up to this point. And I was like, I should have watched more. But I did watch this one, and of the 2 Nick Cage movies I watched this month, this is certainly the worst of the 2. We'll get to the other one much later. But yeah, this is a little dull at times, and our main character here, while he can be kind of interesting, I don't think he's particularly interesting enough to carry this movie to be GOAT status, in my opinion. It is probably one of the darker Scorsese films I've seen. It handles its themes of like death really well, and honestly, that's what carried this movie for me, was the themes. It does go really good. I also really like all the side characters that we get in here. All of the partners that Nick Cage goes throughout the movie all just help make this movie feel super special. 25, Anora. If you watched my 2024 top 10 best, I bet some of you guys were wondering where Anora was, and it's because I didn't like it. I was about to say I didn't like it that much, but I did like it. It was good. But like, is it actually that good, bro? Like, no, it's not that good. Like, it's good. Mikey Madison is good, but she's not like, I don't think she's Oscar worthy in this movie. No. Honestly, for me, it was the side characters that really carried this thing for me, especially Yuri. Wait, no. Yeah, Yuri. That's his name in real life. But Igor, he was the best. He was the best part of the movie, like, no question. Had an incredible ending, but honestly, for like the first 45 minutes, it's just like sex and partying, which I get is the point, but it doesn't make for a very entertaining watch, in my opinion. And then like the middle chunk, like the home invasion scene, while it is really funny, it's literally just Mikey Madison screaming for like 30 minutes. It's kind of annoying. But the whole back half of the movie is like really good. I really enjoyed as soon as they got into the car and they started looking for the kid, the guy. I don't remember his name. When they started looking for him, that's when the movie actually like picked up for me. But just not my favorite of the year. I don't understand all of the buzz around it, but whatever. 24, Ikiru. Oh boy, 24. Wow, I put this low, but yeah, this is where I put it. This, if you don't know, is one of the highest rated movies of all time. I think it's like, 15? The 15th highest rated on Letterboxd. And like, don't get me wrong, it's good. It's got some great moments in it. The ending is excellent. I did really enjoy the first like hour to hour and a half. It was good. But honestly, even in that first hour and a half, there was nothing that really wowed me, if I'm being honest with you. I thought it was a good watch. Like, it was pretty great, actually. And then, like, that final hour, though, was structured so weird, in my opinion, and it just didn't work for me. The way that it kept going from the past to the present constantly. When honestly, I just wanted to see the guy build the playground. Like, that's all I wanted to see him do. And that the focus on that is so minuscule to what I thought it was going to be. So maybe I went into this with a wrong expectation, because I read the blurb for this movie and it said like a dying man spends his last months building a playground. So I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And then like they barely show him building the playground. Like, it's like they don't show him at all. Like, there's like 2 scenes about the playground. Like, it's in the last hour. It's just like dudes talking about him for the last hour. I don't know. The last hour just did not work for me. It kind of bored me. But I mean, it's still good. It's a good movie. Had some great moments. But like, man, I was severely underwhelmed by this thing. Sorry, Kurosawa. You have made Seven Samurai though, so you made up for it. 23, you also made this one, Rashomon. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but this I found to be a very enjoyable time. I thought this was a great movie. We're in great territory now. Like, this was a great movie. I really liked it. I liked the structure of this one, where this one went from like past to present a lot, but like it was doing so in a way to explain things. Like, it's a courtroom like drama, basically, if you don't know. Like, it's a court like battle, basically, about a girl whose husband got killed and she was raped. So it flashes back through the different like witnesses and how they saw the story happen, and it shows different timelines. It's really, really well structured, and it kept me interested the entire time. Also has one of the funniest fight scenes of all time, where it's absolutely so realistic to where they're literally just like they're barely even fighting. It's so funny, but it's so realistic, because that's probably what a real fight scene would look like. Like, just like using sticks and stuff. They're like rolling on the ground. It's really good. I really enjoyed this. Great ending as well. It was good. It was a great movie. I really enjoyed this one. Also really short for Kurosawa, which, you know, I appreciated. 22, A Straight Story. David Lynch. We're gonna move on, but I just thought this was a beautiful film. 21, Enemy. Denis Villeneuve. Really enjoyed it. Super good in its themes and messages and symbolism. Jake Gyllenhaal gives 2 excellent performances in here that really carry this thing afloat. The mystery and the intrigue really like sold this movie for me. Really enjoyed this one. 20, A Bronx Tale. My sister's boyfriend has been begging me to watch this for like well over like a year and a half, 2 years. So we finally got around to watching it, and I can safely say I had a great time with it. I honestly preferred the first half of the film a little bit more when he was a kid, because then you got more Robert De Niro. Because I think Robert De Niro and the kids and his sons, like, their dynamic was kind of brushed over in the second half, which was a little disappointing to me, because in the second half I wanted more De Niro and his son. That is what I wanted. I wanted a more interesting, complex relationship between the two of them. But you kind of just got the son running around with, you know, his friends and then the love interest. And this film does handle really good like themes and stuff, you know, racism. It's a great movie. I thought it was handled really well. But you know, it's that first half really carried the movie for me. Second half, still good. Like, still good, don't get me wrong. But not as good as that first half, in my opinion. 19, Inside Out 2. Yeah, I loved this. I really liked this. I liked this a little bit more than I thought I was, if I'm being honest with you. Maybe it's just because I do love the original Inside Out so much. But this one, I think, is probably Pixar's best sequel since Toy Story 2. Which, that's kind of crazy when you think about it. But yeah, I thought it was super fun. It was able to feel really distinct from the original with these new characters, and it was able to progress the story of Inside Out in a very natural way, to where everything made sense. Like, there was nothing where I'm like, oh, they're just doing this to get in the sequel. I never felt like that watching this. This felt like a very necessary sequel, which can't be said about a lot of other Pixar sequels. All I know is I really enjoyed this. It was funny. You got more anger, but they replaced Bill Hader as Fear. So shame on you, Pixar, because how could you do that to Bill Hader? He's just the best. 18, The Substance. Wild movie. It's just a silly movie, this one is. I wouldn't say silly. Very disturbing at times. Super gross. And while I do think its themes it's just a little surface level, I do think the way that it's doing it makes the movie feel a lot deeper than I think it really is. If it weren't for that ending, I think I probably would have given it a 4.5. But the ending really, really does come out of nowhere, and it is a little too, what are we doing here? But you know, I really like this. I think Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley are great. Margaret Qualley is quickly becoming one of my favorite actresses, I think, because I love her in Kinds of Kindness with how minuscule she is. She was great in Poor Things too, for again the minuscule role she had, but she really shined in this one. She was great. But yeah, it's the substance. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. 17, Juror number 2. I thought this was a very interesting premise. I really liked it. It does feel a little derivative from something like 12 Angry Men in the second half. But I thought this thing was carried by an excellent stand-up performance from Nicholas Hoult, who I think is genuinely becoming a generational talent. I think we give Nicholas Hoult another 10, 20 years, I think he's going to become one of the better actors of this generation, in my opinion, because he is pumping out great performances after great performance. I love Nicholas Hoult. But yeah, this was a really interesting watch. Really made you think about our legal system and our justice system that we have here, and how effed up it can be sometimes. 16, Between the Temples. Man, Jason Schwartzman, you have my heart, my boy. This movie floored me. Thought it was excellent. Really liked it. Not much I really need to say about it because I said everything I needed to say about in my top 10 best movies. But, you know, I thought the performances here are great. It's so grounded in realism. Its tones of like dramatic stuff mixed with the comedy feels so natural. This movie feels incredibly human, and that's what carried it for me. The feeling of isolation mixed with finding that special thing to make your life a little bit brighter. It's incredibly human, and I loved it. 15, Lost Highway. Mr. Lynch. This is boy oh boy, if it weren't for Wild at Heart, I would say this is his horniest movie, because man, he goes off on this one. This is a Lynch movie. It kind of reminds me of Mulholland Drive, but Mulholland Drive just did it better. 14, Your Name. This was a great movie. Absolutely stunning. It is the same director as Suzume, which I know people are on the fence on Suzume, because I think this is higher rated, or better rated than Suzume. I thought Suzume was a masterpiece. I loved Suzume so much. It's still like stuck with me even to this day. When I watched it last year, I was like, oh my god. And I thought this one not as good as Suzume, but I do think this is really good. I did kind of predict like the whole movie in the first like 20 minutes though, so. But I thought our characters here, they felt so natural together. Like their chemistry was so like good. It felt so real in this movie. And again, the visuals are always stunning, and the story here is really dense. And I think a second watch could make it better. For me, this is one of those movies where I think a rewatch is absolutely necessary to really understand and feel this movie. But on first watch, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. Not my favorite of all time though. 13, Shiva Baby. I've been meaning to get around to this one for a while, ever since I watched Bottoms. Because I just think Rachel Sennott, I don't know if that's how I pronounce her last name, she is so good. Another one that I think if you give her like another decade, she's gonna be a legendary actress. If she picks good movies like she has been in the last few years. But this is excellent. It's a quick little like hour, like less than an hour and a half. It all takes place in one setting, and it is the scariest movie I've ever seen. It is genuinely just awkward small talk for an hour and a half, while everything in this woman's life is falling apart. It's excellent. It's super entertaining. Really sad though at times, but also hysterical. I really like her and her mom's relationship in this one, because it's so hard to explain, but it feels really real. Like that's something that this movie does really well. It feels very human, which I've said a couple times in this video, but this movie feels human. I really loved it. Super entertaining watch. Go check it out. Number 12, Inland Empire. David Lynch. We're not gonna talk about it much. All I'm saying is that this is the fastest paced 3-hour movie I have ever sat through. It genuinely felt like an hour and a half. And this has the scariest sequence of shots I have ever seen in a movie. I am being so for real. I have not been startled by a movie this hard, I think ever. Maybe since I first watched like Hereditary back in like 20 20 or something like that. Like, if you've seen the movie, you should know what I'm talking about. The sequence towards the end of The Phantom, dude. I damn near had a heart attack when I saw that. Crazy stuff that Lynch did here. Laura Dern's excellent. Moving on. 11, Nosferatu. Oh, I wanted to put this in the top 10. It's so good. The more and more this sits with me, the more I just appreciate Willem Dafoe in this movie. He is just bonkers at the end of this movie, and I freaking love him. Again, and Nicholas Hoult and Lily Rose Depp. They're also so good in this movie. One of the major criticisms I've seen to this movie is the look of Nosferatu himself, which I never really touched on in my top 10 best movies, but some people might be taken off by the mustache, but I think it fits the movie really well. I know this is going for a serious tone, but it's Nosferatu. Like, I think the original look in the 20s, I think it looked a little better than this one, the design of the creature. But I don't think his design derailed me from this movie by any means. But yeah, great movie. Number 10, Yojimbo. Told you it'd be up here. I freaking loved this. Like, more than I thought I would. Super entertaining. Kept me on the edge of my seat. Super, tense at moments. And Sanjuro is such a good protagonist in this movie. The way he cleverly outsmarts and outplays all of the people around him in this movie is just so entertaining to watch. And just all of the fight scenes are so good in this movie. And this movie is hilarious also. This is a funny ass movie. So yeah, I really liked it. One of my favorite Kurosawa films at the moment. Number 9, The Elephant Man. This is David Lynch's most human film. Moving on. Number 8, Furiosa. This was excellent. I freaking loved this. I love revenge stories, so obviously this is going to be a home run for me. Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth are incredible. Chris Hemsworth, Oscar nomination snubbed for Best Supporting Actor. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm really upset about its box office performance, and we'll probably never get a third Mad Max here for this trilogy of films that I think not Lucas. What am I was thinking. I thought George Lucas for a second. That Miller was setting up. But really upset that we probably won't get that third installment for this trilogy. But it's okay. It's okay because we got this movie and it rules. So that's all that matters. 7, Silence. Near 3 hours long and super heavy stuff here. This is easily, in my opinion, Scorsese's most psychological film, to where it's super slow-paced, incredibly slow-paced. But I never found it boring. It needed to be slow-paced. You can't have a movie like this be fast and, exhilarating. It needed to take its time, and it did. Super heavy themes here about religion and all that, and it's really good. It's really good. Incredible ending. Garfield gives pretty easily, honestly, his best performance. I did love him in Tick, Tick, Boom, but man, he knocks it out of the park in this movie. I will say I was a little disappointed because the poster of the movie and just the cast, I really did think this was gonna be. I thought this was gonna be a trio. I thought Garfield, Liam Neeson, and Adam Driver were gonna be in the movie the whole time. This is Garfield's movie. This is Andrew Garfield's movie to shine. And I loved it. Excellent film here. 6, Wild at Heart. This is David Lynch. I'm not gonna talk about it. All I know is this is a blast of a movie. I freaking love it so much. 5, Life is Beautiful. Incredible. I knew going into this I was probably gonna like it, but I was going into this in a very particular mind state where I thought this was gonna be an incredibly just heavy, exhausting watch. I thought it was gonna be something like Schindler's List, where it was really just gonna, it was gonna hit me hard. And honestly, it's not what this movie did. And that was never the point, in my opinion, at least. This movie, while it does obviously have some incredible heavy images and disturbing stuff, this movie is not about that. Instead of taking the route of making this an incredibly depressing film about World War II, it just tries to feel human. It tries to see the light and the comedy in it all. And that's what's so good about it. Roberto Benigni gives one of the best performances I've seen in a while. Like, genuinely probably the best performance of this month. He's able to blend comedy and drama so well in his performance where, yeah, I mean, he's this lighthearted, goofy guy in a very serious situation. And it's really depressing, but also really good. And the first hour really isn't what I was expecting it to be, but I'm really glad it took that time to do what it was doing, just because that last hour is so important. Just an incredible movie that I loved. I loved it. Yeah, I'm still thinking about it. 4, Arrival. It's so good, man. It's so good. There's nothing quite like it. Because it really does just showcase how difficult it would be to actually like do something like this. Because like some people might just be like, oh yeah, if aliens come, we're just gonna send someone to be our rep and just like talk to them about us. It's like, you can't do that. Like, it's gotta be like this. Like, we don't know who, it's so genius to where it's so complicated in its process about going through something like this, as it should be. So yeah, I simply loved this movie. Amy Adams is excellent, and my god, that final like 20-25 minutes are like, I was speechless. 3, A Real Pain. Of all of the most human movies I've talked about in this month, this is the most human movie I watched this month, in my opinion. Just Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin gives, wowza, they blew me away here. Like, wowza, they really brung it on home in this movie. They feel so real and natural, and their chemistry feels so raw and authentic. And while I am super glad Kieran Culkin is getting like the Oscar buzz, and he'll probably win the Oscar, let's be real, Eisenberg is getting a little overlooked here, in my opinion. I think the scene at him at that dinner table when they went out to eat, I think that scene is like literally probably the best acted scene in the movie. He is just simply like, he's speechless in that movie. He takes the words out of my mouth, because it's just like, how is this acting? He's so good. And it's just, it's a feel-good movie. It's a feel-good movie, but it's sad and it's funny. This is everything I wanted it to be and more. 2, The Wild Robot. Man, I sobbed like a big old baby. I bawled my eyes out at this one. Super personal film, while also feeling super like kid-like. Like, it has this innocence to it that I haven't seen in an animated movie in a long time. Because like, on one hand, yeah, obviously kids can enjoy it and kids can love this, but this is one for the older ones. This is just like Soul, in my opinion, where this is one for the older people. And it's, of course, stunning. I think this is DreamWorks' best movie. I have a really hard time saying that just because Prince of Egypt and Shrek 2 are just like perfect. But I do honestly think this could be my favorite DreamWorks film. So yeah, I loved it. Number 1, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me. There wasn't even really a competition there. Not gonna get into my thoughts and my full thoughts here. Still has me thinking about it. I still feel the darkness that this movie protruded onto me, and I will say no more. Alright, so I also watched Twin Peaks this month. So season 1 and 2, amazing stuff. I also pretty much rewatched the whole thing as well with my family afterwards, so there's that. But yeah, just amazing characters. Ray Wise gives one of the best performances I've ever seen on screen. I will say no more. Dale Cooper is one of my favorite protagonists of all time. If it weren't for that string of episodes in season 2, you know what I'm talking about, like 10 to 17, it would have been flawless, but it's not, just because that string of episodes is just like boring at times. But yeah, it's great ending, super amazing ending. especially leading into our next thing I'm going to talk about, Twin Peaks: The Return. 25 years later, Lynch made this, and yeah, it's flawless. It's flawless. I'm not going to say much about it because I'm going to wait till my David Lynch video, which, yes, I'm including the show in my David Lynch video because this is David Lynch's masterpiece. I don't care what you say. Even it's a show, I don't care. This has to be in the video. This is David Lynch's baby, okay? All right, and now we're gonna do rewatches. I did not rewatch a lot this month. It's like 3 or 4 movies. Number 3, Inside Out. Yeah, even despite this being literally a borderline 5, this has to come in last because the other 2 are also like perfect. But yeah, it's Inside Out. It's stunning. It's Pixar at it's Pixar doing what Pixar is good at, making fun characters, making heartfelt characters, having great emotional beats, being super creative and fun, despite there being a few really, really bad plot holes, which I'm not one to pick plot holes, but man, this one's got some bad ones. But yeah, just stunning. All right, number 2, Mulholland Drive. This and number 1, they're like neck and neck. Like I just sat down for like a minute or 2 to think about which one I liked more because they're literally so close. But I'm gonna give Mulholland Drive just the edge, just because when I first watched Mulholland Drive, I didn't love it as much. But I rewatched this in theaters this month, and my God, it's a pretty perfect movie. Understood it a lot more, picked up on a lot of its things and themes it was laying down. The 2 central performances here are so freaking incredible. Yeah, it's Lynch at his peak. And number 1 is House. Honestly, I wouldn't really call this a rewatch. I had it on while I was editing a video, and I watched it like very briefly. But I had it on, so whatever. It gives me an excuse to talk about this perfect movie again. It's amazing. It's perfect. It's flawless. Whatever. All right, there you go. Done. Woo! It's like 41 something logs on Letterboxd this month. It's ridiculous. Anyways, that's what I watched in January ranked. February probably won't be as much because I'm already off to a slow start. I haven't seen a single movie yet. The 2-week Minecraft phase is hitting hard right now. It's hitting hard. So yeah, we might be bringing back the Minecraft videos that I haven't posted in 2.5 years almost. Anyways, yeah, like and subscribe, of course, if you want to. I'm not your dad, I don't care. And yeah, make sure, I hope you guys are having a great rest of your day, evening, or night, or whenever you're watching this. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.